this is very strange, isn't it?
I was just about to say the same thing.
This is bizarre. Can everyone actually hear me? Wild. Look at technology. Who would have thought? My name is Anisah Osman Britton. I am a Startup Life reporter at Sifted. I get to go behind the flashy headlines of unicorn statuses and billion-dollar fundraisers to find out what it actually takes to build a European startup. If that sounds interesting, which it does, because we all work in startups, please do sign up to the Startup Life newsletter, which you can find on our website at Sifted. So, deep tech startups are often solving some of the most challenging and pressing issues of our time. But if people don't understand what the hell it is you're doing, how the hell are they going to get behind what it is that you're trying to achieve? So I'm joined by a fantastic panel, hopefully, as they sort out the Zoom, to answer the question of how do you storytell and how do you get people to understand something that is very deeply complex in its origin. So let's see if we can get our Zoom people on. We're waiting for the tech people to sort that out. But obviously I'm joined on stage by Rue, and we have two awesome virtual panelists. Well, we're just going to sit and wait until then, chat amongst yourselves. Hopefully it works. How are you, Rue?
Not too bad. Just, definitely quite a new experience, but I'm loving this. It's a very cool setup.
It is, isn't it? It's pretty cool. Let's see if we can wave down an organizer and see if they can get us the other two.
It would just be good to know if we can just speak amongst the two of us.
We will have a great chat.
Right? Yeah,
exactly.
But we just want to know if someone's joining. We're trying to be polite,
I mean, it's been a very long afternoon. Probably people are still asleep, time zones.
Who knows?
We understand.
Who knows?
Okay, great.
So does that mean people are joining?
We're going to continue?
Do we have people joining? Okay, so we know.
So let's start.
Well, we just let them crash the party. It's fine. We have enough time.
Amazing. Okay, so Rue, let's just start. I would love to hear what it is you actually do, but I am not a deep tech person, so can you explain to me, as if I was a 5-year-old, in under a minute, what it is you actually do?
Well, I kind of prefer it that way, because I don't see myself as a deep tech person either. It just kind of happened that way. It was pretty serendipitous, but I'll tell you the full story later. So BeeSage is a beehive monitoring system that boosts productivity and honey yield to benefit the earth through data-driven beekeeping.
I actually understand that. That makes a lot of sense. Why is it important for you as a founder to be able to explain really simply to key stakeholders, investors, press, what it is you actually do? What is the importance of simplifying the message?
It's just literally, it ensures the right response, because otherwise if the message is wrong, then it's like, well, how do you relate to people? I guess everybody kind of relates to bees to some extent, so that makes it a little bit easier for us, because at least they like the topic, they like the kind of the notion that if bees are not doing very well because of many reasons, that we need to provide impact, we need to find a way to help, and technology for sure can provide some answers.
So one of the things that you and I have talked about previously is branding as a first point and a first touch point of being able to tell the story of a deep tech. Can you explain to me a little bit about how you went about creating the brand?
So that was pretty just accidentally it happened, because we were looking for a new logo. We had like a really basic, like stock icon kind of thing of a bee from the hackathon where everything started for BeeSage. But then my co-founder's one of the really good friends. She's a very talented artist, and they do, logos and all this visual identity thing. So he just asked her, hey, can you help us? Like, not charge us, not take an arm and a leg for it. And we managed to get it done pretty quickly. We had a few options. We just decided on the cutest one, I guess. That's how the brand started.
And does that help? Has that cute kind of iconography given you a wider audience or simpler access to conversation?
I think it's just about kind of being a bit different, just not boring. And these are kind of the key things, I guess, we're trying to achieve there. And yeah, it's just this type of topic which generally brings warm feelings to people, right? When everybody's talking about bees, nature, it needs to be relatable in that way. So
It needs to be relatable, but the tech behind what you do is incredibly complex. You have a lot of work, a lot of lines of code that have gone behind what it is you're doing. At what point and who with do you become more technical in conversation?
I would take it in two ways. So technical in regards to the tech itself, or technical in regards to beekeeping. Because often when it comes to speaking to beekeepers, then I need to get a little bit more technical about the tech itself, but to explain it truly how it works. When it comes to like other people who don't understand beekeeping, actually I have to focus on the beekeeping aspect, so they understand how this actually helps. Because yeah, it's not that easy, but there's definitely a different approach based on which jargon you're trying to explain, because beekeepers have their own jargon as well.
And I guess that is a really key question for me is, as a technical founder or a non-technical founder, do you feel comfortable being able to have the conversation with both those parties, or are you always leaning on someone else to be able to explain more coherently, more articulately what that more complex part is? And for me, I'm more interested in the tech part as opposed to the beekeepers.
Yeah, in the tech part, I definitely need to speak to my co-founder about any kind of new things, specific things that he introduces, about how for me to deliver this message, because I'm not technical myself when it comes to hardware. I don't know that much about it myself. We barely have any overlap in skills.
Hey, great to meet you.
Likewise.
Hey guys, right, we're finally joined.
Hey, so I don't know if you can't see behind us, can you, who we have? Oh, you can? Fantastic. So we have Charlotte and Valentino who are joining us. Obviously, Rue and I have had a chat already. So just a very quick introduction from both of you. Charlotte, if you want to go first. I would love for you to explain... Hey, I'd love for you to explain what you do in under a minute, as if I was a 5-year-old, simplifying the message. Can they hear us?
Doesn't look like they can they?
I love technology. Does anyone work for Zoom? Fantastic.
It's probably better to work for Zoom than to have bought the stock lately. But yeah, that's a different
that's
topic.
a better question. Who owns Zoom stock? No, don't answer that. This is not financial advice. Charlotte or Valentino, can you hear us? That would be a no.
So, the technical support team, can we get the sound through to the people who are in the Zoom? It would be very nice to hear. Guys, can you hear us online?
Now we can hear you.
Wonderful. All it took was to ask. Okay, let's continue.
Amazing. Charlotte, could you tell us what you do in a minute, please?
Sure. So I guess the TotalCtrl is transforming the food industry. But if I were to speak as if you were a 5-year-old, because that was something that I heard that you asked earlier, I would say, like, okay, imagine if you had food in your fridge and it goes bad. And the reason why it goes bad is basically because you've forgotten about it. So TotalCtrl helps you get that reminder you need to be able to eat it instead of wasting it. So that's primarily the kind of the short pitch on what we do.
Very cool. And Valentino?
Oh, hi. So I'm Valentino Megale, and with Softcare Studios, we are helping patients in the hospitals to feel less pain, less anxiety during stressful medical treatment without administering drugs. So basically, we take patients out of the hospitals despite they are still forced to stay in a hospital. And to do that, we use virtual reality. So we use the sensory illusion of being in another place, which is enabled by virtual reality. to provide the pain relief that we want to achieve.
So one of my questions, sorry Rue, I'm going to probably repeat this a little bit, but what I would love to know from both of you is, when you tell us this story, how different is it to the story you tell investors or that you tell reporters, for example?
I can do that. I would say it's extremely difficult and different from who we talk to. So investors, I talk a lot about the fact that we help our restaurants and hotels save a lot of money, whereas when I talk to normal people not within our market, I talk about the example from your home situation and how you waste food and so on. But when I talk to customers, I talk about the money side of things, and investors the same. When I talk to you, I talk about the real life experience. But it's extremely different and hard to communicate what we do in a simple way.
And when do you get more technical, Charlotte? When do you start to explain what actually is behind the technology you're selling?
So in our case, chefs and staff in restaurants and hotels are the ones that use our technology. So when we talk to them, we have to get a bit more technical, but kind of connecting it to the use case in their operations. And of course, when we talk to partners which we integrate with, like SAP and MasterCard and so on, we have to talk about the technical parts. But we try to be as non-technical in our communication as possible, but that's also hard when we are product people from the very get-go. So yeah.
Valentino.
Yeah, so we start as simple as possible at the beginning with everyone. And of course, we should take into consideration the tech readiness and the tech literacy of our customers, of our audience. So I think a good approach is an onion approach. So developing a concept through different layers of complexity, starting simple, and then getting more technical based on the questions and the interest and the tech literacy of the audience. So never underestimate tech literacy, even in just not technical people, because sometimes they can be very interested in technology. But just start simple, direct, and focus on the outcomes. Technology is only a medium.
Okay, so I want to switch up this conversation a little bit. Obviously, the talent war is a conversation of our time, and you are all growing as companies. When you have a very short attention span to grab the attention of future talent, what kind of tools and tips and tricks are you applying to get them to A, understand what you're doing, B, be excited about it because it can sound very dry, and 3, actually apply to join you? What is your way of trying to hire? I'll start with Rue as you're staring at me.
One of the ways that's been working for me really well is actually anytime I have an opportunity to talk about our company, if we have a stand at an expo, for example, right? Like a conference. Like actually, today we have an expo at TechChill, so please come visit us, right? Every time what I do, I'm not just there with a laptop and telling people, oh yeah, we do this and that. I actually hustle up a beehive, a real beehive, which I then put on our smart device. The one device that we launched so far is Smart Beehive Scales. So then they can see it, what it looks like in real life, what it does, and I'll show them, okay, and on the phone or on the computer, this is the data. It's being read once per hour. Weight, temperature, and humidity, right? And that's when it can really relate, and of course it also attracts attention. So I'm not just another guy with a laptop and leaflets, but I have a beehive, and everyone's like, whoa.
Are there bees here today?
No bees. No
just
bees.
the beehive?
Yeah,
okay.
just the hive.
I was just
we're
checking.
keeping it safe.
Okay, great. Charlotte.
Yeah, in our case, it helps that I have blue hair and are extremely easy to see in a big crowd. But for our case, we currently and for the time being, we've been alive for 4 years. We haven't had any problems recruiting people, and I think also because we kind of start with our vision is to transform the food industry, make sure that we have food to eat in the future, and make the world more sustainable. So really tapping into that people want to work, but they want to work with something that actually matters and makes a change as well is something that attracts a lot of people to our company. And of course, the fact that we also can prove that our technology works, it brings huge impact and it makes money for our customers. That is also important. So I think kind of combining those things has been key in our case to attract the talent that we need when we grow.
Are you finding challenges to that?
Not currently, because we are attracting a lot of senior people that are extremely well known to help us grow the company. So I think we've been able to communicate our vision in a way that actually attracts people on board. I think the challenge is like negotiating all of the terms in regards to the salaries and the flexibility and all of those things. But people kind of want something more than just a 9 to 4 job where they get a salary. They want to make an impact. In our case,
9 to 4 sounds kind of comfortable for some of the conversations I've been hearing this week. But anyway, Valentino, how are you finding hiring? I would much rather hear about the challenges than what's going really well.
Now, the challenges on our side is that virtual reality is still a technology that is not part of everyone's daily routine, like smartphones. So the best way to communicate what we are doing is helping people to try virtual reality is a technology that you need to see in first person. Otherwise, it's just like telling about a great place to visit by traveling without traveling. So you always require a gap of imagination from the public. On the other side, about the hiring part, we are required to consider the human aspect of patient's experience in every line of code we write down. So it's very important when we talk with a new collaborator, with a new person, that we are able to always talk about how technology converts into value in the life of patients. So we cannot just limit to technology. We should be always able to talk about how technology fits in the life of the final human users at the end. So this is something that we look for when talking with new people, from customers to hiring people.
Could you just say that last line again? It broke a little bit. I'm not sure if you. Could you just say that last line again, just so we all hear it?
Yes, that we are always interested to take into consideration the human aspects of the technology. So when hiring new people, on talking with other potential collaborators, we are looking to engage always on this technology into human life level of conversation.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So, what I would love to know is all of you are founders, CEOs of these companies, which are growing at a pretty decent pace. What do you think about hiring in what is a very popular role at the moment, which is a head of communication, a storytelling role? Are you looking for that person? Do you have that person? What is your view of moving that core storytelling to someone else who is not you? I'll start with you, Ru.
I've been contemplating, for sure, that I need some help in that regard. I do see it still
Why?
as my responsibility. Well, because we have a bottleneck. I need to do many other things as well. I'm there with 5 engineers in my company, right? So there's a bunch of things that I have to do that only I can do, whilst everybody else is kind of focusing on their little part, right? Whereas, of course, my co-founder is more like the broader side of things as well as a CTO. But anyway, I need some help with that for sure, and that's why I thought I would do some hiring in the beekeeping community itself, and I started already reaching out, and I had some really good response and a couple of great candidates I haven't properly explored yet, but from next week I'm going to be doing some interviews, and I think it's important for somebody to actually be an experienced beekeeper within the team. We don't actually have that yet. I'm learning to be a beekeeper. I'm studying, but I'm not there yet.
So could they explain the technology side of the company, or is their, I guess, role to sell the concept of why it's useful?
It's more like explaining it to others who don't understand beekeeping. The concepts that are kind of now becoming, obvious to me, they were certainly not clear even a year ago, how beekeeping works itself, right? So I think they can often help to find the right words and to demonstrate it in action as well. To have an actual content with more content with our devices, how it works, right? Because I don't have my own beehives yet, so I can't do that. And I'm too busy like traveling around to just like leave my beehives here as well at the moment, if I had them. So yeah, somebody who's a beekeeper who then can help to create content. I think that really helps.
what I want to ask, sorry, I will come to you both in 1 second. What I want to ask is, for such a key role from your perspective, how are investors viewing that? Because it's not what I would consider a key role in most startups. How do investors respond to the fact that you want what would be a senior role like that in the company?
I mean, it depends if it evolves into a senior role, but yeah, certainly it's early, kind of one of the first founding team kind of employees. But it's all about just the devil's in the detail, as always, right? Seeing if they actually have the skills that we need, and the beekeeping experience is just at this stage. I believe that it's for this role, it's paramount.
Charlotte?
I would say like we are looking for marketers and salespeople because storytelling is such a big part of growing the company. And like in our case, as you mentioned, like I'm starting to become the bottleneck because I'm out being the evangelist of the company, but in the company we have a lot of product and industry people. So we know the industry and the technology extremely well, but how to communicate it and sell it in a easy to understand and value-driven way is something that we're always looking to get better at. So what we're actually doing now is that we're hiring a chief commercial officer that would take charge of the sales team and make sure that the marketing and the sales team work well together. But it's a huge part of what we're thinking about when we grow the company now.
So just to delve into that a little bit more, what is the core skill set for someone like that in a deep tech startup? Do they have to be technical? Is that what you are looking for?
No, not necessarily. They have to understand what benefits the technology bring. I think that's the main thing, so that they're able to communicate that and sell that to both on the marketing side and the sales direct to the customers. So those would be the most important things. And for any hiring that we do, we have to see the chemistry with the people, because skill sets can be learned, but people's personality has to match our company culture. And I think that's the most important thing. And it's beneficial if they've done it before and that we can see that they've shown results, of course. But skill sets is learned. Personality is a different area.
Valentino, how are you approaching the communication role?
Yeah, the interesting thing at Softcare Studios is that communication and storytelling is not only a way to simplify the complexity behind our project, but also it's a part of our solutions. Because with virtual reality, we offer patients the opportunity to experience another story in another place, which is different from the unpleasant story they are forced to experience inside of the hospital. So it's great to have people inside of the team, also like game designers, because we use gamification in our tools, that build stories that are useful and impactful both for patients and both to communicate the product to the families, to medical staff, and also to investors. So yeah, it's an integral part of our company.
Okay, so Valentina, I want to ask you a question that's maybe a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Marketing
sure.
and storytelling is often deemed to be one of the lower paid roles in the startup world. It is often predominantly women in the space. If it is such a core part of what deep tech needs, why are we not seeing that reflected in our salary bands? And why are we not seeing it reflected in seniority? It's an open question to all three of you.
Yeah, yeah. It depends from the dynamics on how you evolve from towards seniority. Okay, there are still a lot of dynamics that should be fixed inside of the entrepreneurial path, and I think that everybody just has the great potential to achieve great meaningful goals, but there are a lot of still biases and artificial dynamic that should be fixed with open conversations like this, with open questions and uncomfortable questions that just pushes the audience to reflect and understand what can be improved.
Charlotte, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I think one of the things to remember as we start businesses is to be aware of how we can kind of close the gap between the salaries within genders or ethnicity or anything like that. So being aware and having the results be the case for the salary is important to remember. In our case, we are kind of extremely into having policies around this, making sure that there's a clear understanding of how we kind of set the barriers for the different salary tiers. So I think that is a role that is important for us as founders to be aware of and do our best to make sure that the results are the things that we're paying people for, not what they look like and their gender.
Well, I can just say that we still in pre-seed stage, so we like super early, so we kind of haven't reached, the points where this topic becomes an issue, because at the moment we are all of us keeping the salaries as low as possible to survive. So that's, because we all in it for the long term, right? Once we raise the seed round, then we can.
But this is the
things.
time to start thinking about policy for the long term, right?
For sure, absolutely. But that's
As
why,
Charlotte said.
as well, we ensure that basically it's just pretty much the same. It doesn't really matter. In regards to the salary, everyone's getting a similar type of salary if you are a full-time employee. So we don't even divide. And once we do the hiring, then of course we just ensure that also we keep the same vibe. That everyone is on the same level, because each skill is important.
Amazing. Okay, because we are being rushed for time. Where can people find you if they want to find out more?
They can go on Facebook, they can go on our website, it's beesage.co, Instagram. Yeah, we're on all
They can meet you outside in the hallway.
Yeah, they can come see me at the stand and the beehive. I have some bee bread as well. They can try it if they haven't tried before.
I will be coming along. Charlotte, where can people find you if they want to find out more?
Social media is always good. Charlotte, Aschim, and TotalCtrl is our website. You can, it's spelled TotalCtrl, because we're helping our customers get total control over their food inventory.
Nice.
But connect with me on LinkedIn and I'll reply.
Valentino.
Same here. Let's connect on LinkedIn, Velentino Megale, and also our company, Softcare Studios, and our website, so softcarestudios.com.
And if you want to find me anywhere and you're in the region, Sifted is running a conference, a session in Tallinn on Tuesday to hear more about how operators actually do things. There's going to be some great conversations. I want to apologize for all the technical difficulties at the beginning, but I want to thank my 3 panelists for what I think has been a really useful conversation for anyone working in deep tech. I hope you all have a great conference. Thank you.